around. It should also have happened. This is logical. If it happened here, it should happen elsewhere. To not find it elsewhere is to be put in a situation where obviously this is like a one-time thing, meaning it wasn't by chance, it means there was purpose behind it, there has to be God. They don't want to deal with that, so the whole of their scientific programs in space and astronomy, etc., all of it is focused on trying to find life in the universe, to justify their belief that we are here by accident. Probably the greatest expression of shirk in our times.
How can one be helped if he is possessed, but the possessed person is involved in bid'ah?
Well, we have to start by clearing up the bid'ah, because bid'ah and any other form of deviation becomes an opening and an invitation to possession, to corruption from the world of the jinn. So we need to clear up, if a person is involved in bid'ah, then we first try to clear up those things either from his or her home or the area in which they live or whatever. We clear that area, purify the area, then we try to deal with the individual, or we do it simultaneously.
Question: is it shirk for someone to seek help through an exorcist? I mean, one who does not involve in shirk.
No, it would not be considered shirk, as I gave examples of companions of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ who treated those who were possessed. As long as the treatments, the ruqya or ruqa, are involving Quranic verses or statements which are themselves acceptable Islamically. It is perfectly legitimate. But as I said, it's not to go seek an exorcist, to seek somebody who would exorcise that person or yourself, because as I said, we really don't have exorcists in Islam. We have people, individuals who have accepted, to help others, not as a profession, 9 to 5, but if people come to them, they will read Quran over them, whether they're half of Quran or they know a lot of Quran, their recitation is good, they are strong iman, whatever. Whoever is approached like that, it is their duty Islamically to try to help those who are in need.
Please explain the use of Zamzam water in exorcism and the use of dua water in exorcism. By dua water is meant the water over which Quranic ayah is read and blown upon.
Well, we actually have no evidence for the use of dua water, what is called here dua water. We have no evidence for it. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ didn't do it, companions didn't do it. It has become a common practice amongst people who are involved in exorcism in our times, but really, as I said, it has no foundation in the actual methodology of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his companions. And the use of Zamzam in exorcism, again, we also have no example of the companions using this or the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, but we know Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had said that Zamzam is for whatever it is drunk, right? So if a person were to drink Zamzam, asking Allah to help them, overcome whatever has overcome them, it's legitimate. But to say that it is a standard article in the arsenal of the exorcist, no.
Would you say that the main purpose of the jinns is to use the people's own superstitious beliefs to lead them into the fire?
No, I wouldn't say this is the main purpose of the jinn. The jinn were created like human beings with an ability to choose to obey Allah or disobey Allah. Their main purpose is to worship Allah. That is the main purpose of the jinn. As Allah said, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Allah said that. He didn't create the jinn, and He said mention the jinn first. Nor human beings except for worshipping Allah. That is the main purpose of the jinn, just as it is the main purpose of human beings. The evil among the jinn, like the evil amongst human beings, will try to draw others into their evil. And if a person is involved in some kind of corruption or whatever, they do not feel comfortable until everybody around them is sharing in that corruption. And the jinn are no different in that sense. So they try to draw people into corruption. They are themselves involved in shirk type corruption, and they try to draw people into similar practices.
I have several questions here on how to recognize if a person really has some jinn on him. Do you have to put the person through some medical tests first, or are there some sure characteristics that will mark off a person as being possessed?
No, I did address this earlier, that personality changes, voice changes, habits, radical changes in habits can be among the signs, but it is not an automatic sign. Really, all of the signs are also exhibited by people who have medical problems. So whenever one finds a person in a state, the first thing that one should try to do is to deal with it on a medical level. Having failed to deal with it medically, in other words, you've identified that it is something beyond medicine, then you look and focus on Quranic recitation, etc. However, anybody who is sick, whether it is biological or you may feel it is spiritual, to read over a person is natural. As we have so many du'as which Prophet ﷺ gave us, as well as examples of the companions reading over people who are stung by scorpions, a variety of things. So the idea of calling on Allah's help in dealing with our illnesses, this is something that we can just do automatically. But as I said, in terms of focusing, in the sense that we now have a sense that this is probably from a spiritual source, from the jinn, and we put all our efforts in terms of taking that person to somebody to have it, Quran recited regularly and really tackling it on that basis, we should do so after having checked out the medical side.
What must you do if you get a bad dream that you believe is from the shaitan? And a related question, what should one do or say if one feels the presence of a jinn, or if one gets a really bad smell just out of the blue?
The Prophet ﷺ had instructed us that if a person has a bad dream at night, they can either get up and make 2 rak'ah. They can turn in their bed, if they're sleeping on the left side, turn to the right side. They can spit, but it's not really spitting, but blowing and seeking refuge in Allah. These are among the things one can do when one experiences a bad dream. What was the other part of it?
If you feel that there's a jinn around.
If you feel the presence of the jinn, it is possible for you to make the adhan. This is amongst the things that I mentioned some of the Sahaba did. When there were presences, they felt the jinn being present or whatever, they would make the adhan, say the adhan out, because Prophet ﷺ said that the jinn will get away. Also, there's a variety of different verses from the Quran, like Ayatul Kursi, the last 2 verses of Surah Al-Baqarah. These may be recited as a means to clear the air, when one finds oneself in an environment which seems to be, spiritually evil or whatever.
I have another personal question which I'll ask Brother Bilal to answer, but in general I'd like to advise all Muslims that we must think good of people. You see something that you don't understand, don't assume that something is wrong here. Assume that there's something that you don't understand, and check it out with the brother personally. Somebody asked one of our popular speakers one time, how come you shave your part of your face like that? This is not right. And then the brother explained that the hair doesn't grow on that part of his face. You see, when they saw his face, they just assumed he's doing wrong, whereas they should have assumed some excuse for the brother. So the question again is about security issues, and in reference to a recent program that was held at Madison Square Garden. Is there anything you'd like to say about that? All right, we just move on to the jinn questions. Okay, can human beings tame jinns and send them to harm other human beings? I have many questions on this topic. Can we communicate with jinns or negotiate with the jinn at some